Welcome back, everybody, to season 2 of Olympus Talks. I'm your host, Hercules.
Zeus.
Kratos.
And today is Mother's Day. I want to big up and acknowledge all of the mothers out there. Thank you for taking care of your kids. Thank you for being there and making the sacrifices in order to get your kids to where they are today. So big up all of the mothers them. Anyways, so today the topic of the day is going to be music and its effects on culture and the people and their mindset.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of positive effects do you think music has on how the people think?
Alright, so I think it influences people in many positive ways, in the sense, like, for example, people at parties, you're having a good time, you want something to vibe to. Soca music as an example, that has a positive effect on people. Music, love songs is a good example. Two people in a loving relationship, they're listening to a love song, it gives them a nice little vibe and it can improve the mood. So songs can have positive impacts on how people, interact and, carry themselves in society essentially. So I think it has a lot of positive effects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of negative effects, jokes, do you think music has?
Alright, I think that, based on the way observing the modern society we live in, I think because of the whole advent of gang culture, I think certain genres of music like dancehall and drill music come as a result of these kinds of cultures, right?
Yeah.
Especially, both of them, but I listen to drill a lot, and personally for me, I have no negative thoughts, right? But I can see where maybe like a person from, as I think Chicago, one of the places in America, it's like a hotspot for drill music.
Let's believe.
Personally, it
reflects the culture.
Yeah, a lot of these drill rappers are, let's be honest, shooters, right? Shooters, gunmen, hitmen. One of the most prominent ones is King Von. I'm not saying that the music influences him to do crime or anything like that. I'm not saying he's a criminal, but the culture, the music is as a result of the culture to a certain extent.
That's where it was derived from.
So it does influence crime to a certain extent, but mainly from the culture itself, because Chicago and certain places, I think like Alabama, Louisiana, those places,
Atlanta and stuff like that.
They're in a lot of gang wars have been happening for quite a while now. So that's part of the reason why Young Boy and Dirk and them man, they can't like each other. And that's why them kill FBG Duck. I think he's some, I don't remember exactly where he's from.
Yeah, and I think these guys come from these places.
So I think the music does influence them. Because remember, it does influence your subconscious mind enough, and that's where it operates off of for the most part.
Exactly. So, especially the more vulnerable communities.
Yeah. Especially here, exactly.
So you're saying that the music, drill music, is as a result of the culture of Chicago and other likewise cities
like
in the US.
And I think people from the inner city areas are more susceptible
to the
being influenced by them and then taking it out physically.
But do you think that the music itself can influence a culture instead of just like how the culture influences the music, do you think that the music can influence the culture?
Yes, because music is a part of the culture, and it's one of the most prominent ways in which we express ourselves.
Culture,
I think
so. Like reggae music expresses a lot of Jamaican culture,
a lot of positive culture. And you can see it's so powerful to the point where you have people who probably never necessarily like reggae to a certain extent. You start to see them embrace it. We even see like Ajax in the Netherlands make a Bob Marley kit for them.
Exactly, and you see a lot of them, they do the whole Rastafari.
Exactly.
So it ingrained them in the Jamaican
sometimes
culture.
you have the Caucasians overseas, them listen to a couple of reggae songs and all of a sudden them want
like a black Jamaican.
Or come to Jamaica for
experience the culture.
Experience the rentadry.
Then that assists our culture because our GDP as a result goes up because of tourism.
Exactly. So music does have a negative and a positive influence. Now listen to Cartel. Cartel will tell you say, even though this man professed himself as the Marcus Garvey dancer, and the last time we checked, Marcus Garvey influenced a lot of things about our culture.
The Marcus Garvey from Hero, definitely.
Exactly. Backwards Marcus Garvey. So the only Cartel when them talk about say,
But since you touch on the topic of Vybz Kartel and his music, do you think that his music plays a heavy influence on the violence that's going on in Jamaica?
In a lot of the inner cities, I'd say definitely, because a lot of these youths, as Jugs rightfully say, a lot of the music itself is a part of the culture. The music itself was derived from the culture. The music is a byproduct of the culture.
Top two most powerful.
So whenever you have a lot of these types of songs, you're coming from a certain kind of culture.
Yeah.
Cartel himself always said music is a reflection of the culture. As much as he wants to distance himself from any responsibility by saying, oh, he's just singing music. No, you yourself just said that you're contradicting yourself, because music is a part of the culture. Music is a part of what makes up our culture. So if you're singing a lot of lewd songs and all of that, and it comes from a certain place, people, especially vulnerable people within that particular aspect of the culture, will be the ones to mostly live out these types of songs and the experiences these songs give. So yeah, I'd say a certain subset of people will be affected more from negative songs.
Because if it was a case where it wasn't music wasn't having a drastic effect, right? Cartel, when him sing about Clark's, Clark's
bleach out
price
face and all them things.
wouldn't gone up, and everybody would not bleach out them face,
Exactly.
Because basically, as it goes, because he's such an influential artist, and a lot of people listen to his music, everybody rate him.
The people worship him.
Worshiping.
He can't do no wrong.
Exactly.
So basically, any topic that he wants to talk about, people just willing to go on it and go.
People start buy certain type of clothing, shoes, certain style and all them things that become a norm. And if you can influence people's
dreadlocks, I'm not gonna say him are one of the biggest influences, right? But besides, a lot more people get dreads or plait out them hair and then bleach and skin.
The braids and
no say them people don't listen to Cartel all the time and it influence them.
Exactly. If an artist has a wide enough influence, look at Rihanna and Beyonce and these people. You have the little groups of them call them. When them call them Beyonce followers, I forget the name. It's on social media. It's a funny name. But this is a subset of people that follow her so religiously. Them dress like her, them behave like her. Everything she does or says in her songs, these people are influenced by it in how they act in relationships, how they deal with people, and how they operate in society.
I've heard girls get interviewed and said the reason why I'm just raunchies because of Cardi B. Literally.
There's another negative influence.
So, if that's the case, then what kind of changes do you think the artists themselves can make in order to have a more of an impactful or positive impact on the society or the culture?
I think first and foremost, they need to stop singing these kinds of music. And I think we need to put more positive thinking music. I'm not saying you need to sing gospel music. I'm saying more positive types of mindsets should be front and center. People should be glorifying the right thing.
When you start normalize.
Normalize the right thing. Once that becomes the norm, everybody will come on board with that. But when you normalize the most negative possible things in society, eventually you will even garner the attention of the less vulnerable people, or the less vulnerable people.
Okay.
Because it has that level of influence.
Exactly.
For somebody like us now, who were less susceptible to the music, because it's normalized, our children might come up and say, oh, after the norm, let me do it too. You know?
Alright. But alright, here's the thing. It's one thing to want to perpetuate the more positive and virtuous things about the human characteristic, but at the end of the day, still, as much as I know there are a lot of artists that want to do that, you have to look at what the people want and what is most marketable. You understand me? Because at the end of the day, the audience themselves, the girls want to behave like bad bitches. They want to hear the bad bitch music. They like to listen to Cardi B, Sexy Red, Nicki Minaj, Shenseea, Megan Thee Stallion. You get what I'm saying? Because those kind of artists appeal to them.
Because that is what's being glorified.
But let's say, for example, one of them sing something positive. Let's say, for example, like going to school, don't be a ratchet person. Do you think it's going to gain the same kind of traction?
It won't, because it's essentially a weed in a those are weeds. Essentially a rose in a garden of weeds. Essentially, it's going to be there, and everything else is involved in weeds. So it won't have any kind of special substance.
I think it cannot be, because let's be honest.
You will have a set of people who will see the rose and say, alright, I should go there, so I'm going to pick that rose. Most people are going to grab onto the weed because that's the norm. It's just as everybody else is doing.
And they want
So if
to
every other man is dressing as a woman, guess what? 9 out of 10 guys are going to dress as a woman. It's going to be so normal that everybody is going to feel the need to do it.
Unless we fight against it with it, but
Yeah.
what more says, I know this can be normalized more. People accepting, because let's be honest, if you just start seeing positive music, you're going to tend to get less traction on social media. But remember back in the days when they usually cut off Rastaman here, right? Man usually cut off Rastaman here, right? But we have been seeing from decades now, we see them accept Rastafari, right?
Yeah.
Them all grow them locks. Even though they might tell us about we earpod and we are ugly and we have nappy hair, why they might embrace Rastafarianism and make money off it and pay for plane ticket to come over.
Exactly, and it was as a taboo at one point.
Culture.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think this can be normalized. However, it will take some time. But
Okay.
But it has to start from somewhere.
It has to
Really
start
and
from
truly,
somewhere,
I think-
yeah.
I think it's mainly a Western thing, to be honest. Like Western side of the world. When I say not prominent in other sides of the world, but it's mainly our culture.
Yeah.
You see, get influenced by all that nonsense we are going in America.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
offense meant.
We have the most influential, the West has the most influential culture, I think mostly due to the fact that most of what happens over here is publicized in some way. So whether it's on the internet, you know, through some video, music video, some TV show, something you see online, some new TikTok trend, all of these things are constantly being publicized. So it's constantly being thrown in our faces. So it can reach a point where people start to see things that 15 years ago it was taboo as completely normal.
Ah, okay. So the next topic, our next question right now. Why is it that black music always perpetuates negatives?
That is a very good question, and up to this day, it's something that I question very deeply. There are a lot of rumors going around. You know, a lot of rumors tend to have some truth to them, but saying that a lot of this is stemming back from slavery days and the type of mindset that black people have. You know, as Marcus Garvey said, mental slavery, concerning this mental cycle of, you know, destruction and toxicity and you know, self-hatred and all of this, and a lot of that is reflected in the type of music that we tend to gravitate towards. Not saying that you don't have good black music, you know, reggae being an example. You have good dancehall songs being an example, but the ones that are typically front and center in the black community are the more negative ones. Negative, not just gun culture, but also nudity, you know, nude songs and, you know, having multiple partners and, you know, polygamous relationships and, you know, single parent homes, and a lot of these negative cultures are perpetuated in our music. You know, American music being a fine example. So a lot of people, when they talk about black music, they don't talk about a Michael Jackson song or what was her name again? Celine Dion. This next lady that sang like her, I forgot
Whitney Houston.
The Commit Suicide.
Whitney Houston.
So she, as an example, those were really good black songs. Even R. Kelly, you know, Mr. Golden Shower, is a good example of good quality black music.
Yeah.
But when people talk about black music, I say most of it is the more negative aspect that gets perpetuated more. And I think a lot of this is a reflection of a lot of the problems that we as a race have to deal with, because white music, as an example, you don't have a lot of negative songs in country music, in rock music. In most white music, you don't have a lot of negative stuff. Chinese music, hell, even South American or Hispanic music. A lot of these different cultures don't have a lot of the negative music that we do. So why is it whenever a black music is being talked about, it's always the more negative side that's brought up first, and then the positive side after? Why isn't reggae more prominent in the minds, not necessarily from
the Jamaican culture rather than dancehall music?
More than said it more. I don't really understand that.
Well, alright, you see, the thing is, a lot of people might not know this, but rap music originated from dancehall. From a guy, I think, what was his name, DJ Cool Herc or Herc Cool or something like that. Back in the 1960s, I think he's the one that basically brought it into the US. Because he was a Jamaican born DJ. And just basically bring him own flow, and the Americans and the Americans just add them own flavor to it. So it originally started in Jamaica, and we already know how Jamaica stay when it comes down to dancehall music, the violence, and everything like that.
Yeah.
You see me? So, and then some of it is kind of coming from slavery as well, because the white man used to always push their own kind of family or their own family structure, and them usually just try to destroy the African family structure. So where in which they're taking the male slaves are the strongest one out of all of them, and then basically make them interbreed with different women on the plantation. That's where black men get this whole polygamous mindset. Yeah, say one girl can't satisfy. You have to have many. You get what I say? Likewise, them kind of keep the African women, make them maintain them purity, but then just make them do household stuff. Which is why you see a lot of the black women doing mostly household stuff. You get what I say? And doing motherly stuff. And when I said that, I mean like the white people used to take their white babies and allow that black woman to breastfeed that white baby. I don't know how that works out or how that makes sense, because if you look down on them, why would you make your baby
twisted?
You get what I'm saying? So that's where all of that is coming from, and the negativity. So a lot of it is coming from the times of slavery and indentured slave and chattel slavery. And it changed the whole mindset, and it just perpetuated throughout the generations coming up to now, where black people always talk about the violence, because the white man used to always pit these black slaves against each other in order to basically maintain their right or opportunities to stay on the plantation. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of it is just brainwashing from many hundreds of years ago, many generations down the line.
Brainwashing that we apparently haven't even waken up from. Because I'm going to tell you something. You see, as bad as things may be, you can't talk about that, Joe. You see, as bad as things may be, I think we as a race, as a culture, as a nation, we should also take responsibility for the things that we do. Because at the end of the day, we have free will. We have life, we have the ability to do things as we please to do them. As bad as things may have been in the past for ancestors, and a lot of these things, I say, have been passed down generations, and it's trickled into many different, as I said, negative things in the family as a unit. Somebody has to start from somewhere as far as making a positive change going forward for the black community. Right? And a lot of the more negative aspects of the black community is what is most perpetuated in society. You understand? Even though they say, yes, a lot of slavery has caused this, but what are we doing about that after effect?
I don't think that's the problem.
I think of the bigger problem. The same thing with them tell us in slavery, when them say, alright, if the nigger doesn't read, he's not going to understand himself. So the more uneducated we are about certain things, kind of lead to a lot of the current events that we experience today.
We don't fall,
Lack of knowledge has always been our downfall. I think enough people don't read Marcus Garvey books and Malcolm X and people like somehow we hear them, but we don't necessarily live by what them say.
And we don't educate ourselves. Because I sorry to interrupt you, but I see a lot of this new term, what they call educated dummies. I see a lot of them in universities as an example, where you're in university, all you're doing is studying a book. You're very knowledgeable about things you've read in a book. What about the things that are happening in society, the things that make an actual difference? Not just you reading something to get a job, to make as much money as possible, but how are you increasing your knowledge that with things that you can actually use to make society a better place?
I think it's just it's coming from a standpoint of more pride, in the sense that you read a book, you want people to know that you're educated, just so that you can, when you speak, you sound smart. But it's a different thing than where you're actually in a situation where you have to now apply the knowledge that you've learned. Because that's the difference. It's applying what you learned.
Application.
Rather than just reading the book and then that's just it.
You can pass exams and get the most A's. How do you apply that knowledge now?
And now, with that now, It's just the mere going back to the same slavery thing is that it's not like we're oblivious to the history. We know what the history was. You get what I say? And it's not just to say that black people were only enslaved by white people, because black people used to enslave black people as well, long before the white people came.
Slavery has been a concept.
It's been a concept from a long time. Even the Bible did talk about slavery. It's just that in the Bible, the way how the Bible itself spoke about slavery is in the sense that when somebody is in a situation where they don't have anything, they can basically offer themselves as a slave to work, get food, get a payment as compensation, and then when that time has ended, then can go about them life.
You treat them with respect.
Exactly. But now persons took that part in the Bible and them skew it to their own benefit, wherein which you listen to your slave master, but your slave master not supposed to do nothing for you, not for gain a payment, him for just treat you anyway, and then more for treat you. You get what I'm saying? And going back to the point is that you now know the history. What are you now doing? What are you doing? Just complaining alone about what the white person has done to you, and it's not even just what the white person has done to you, because a lot of the persons that are complaining about slavery have never experienced slavery themselves. So what are you complaining about? I'm not saying
that's just like females complaining about being oppressed in homes, but they never did go through that period. And so why are you complaining about something that you've never experienced? Nobody is saying that you shouldn't commemorate your ancestors who went through it. But it doesn't mean that them dead fear are come in the future and complain about it. What was all of that?
And I tear down on one another.
Them fight, them murder people, them end up get killed and all that for what? To save a bunch of idiots complaining victims.
Exactly my point. So what do you think kind of impact music has on relationships and how like the Gen Z's view relationships?
Oh boy, this is probably the most controversial and interesting part of this conversation right now. I mean, a lot of people tuning in, especially females, are going to be triggered as usual.
We don't know it's true still.
We're going to talk the truth and keep it that way there. But as far as 2024 is concerned, I think Gen Z is especially, a lot of this new school music, you know, is having a lot of negative impacts. Listen, people might call me old school for saying that. Maybe in their head it's probably the best thing. I don't think it is. I think I tend to be a moderate myself. I'm not super super on one side. So I'm not fully liberal or I'm not fully conservative. I don't know why the word takes long. But I'm not fully conservative. I think there are certain conservative values that we as humans we should hold on to because they've worked for centuries. I've said this before. They've worked for centuries, so why trouble it? If it's not broken, why fix it? Right? And there are certain more modern values that we could add to improve things. You know, relationships right now I think are suffering as far as a lot of the music that's coming out that's influencing a lot of bad behaviors. So bad behaviors, for an example, Shensia sing this song the other day. What's the name of the song again?
Hit and Run.
Hit and Run. Jesus Christ. I have a lot of male friends right now that practically mock the song because it is a good reflection of the type of mentality that females have towards relationships. Not saying all, a lot of them tend to have it. Whereas like, since you want to do your thing with me and move on, or since guys out there doing your thing and move on, why can't I? Why can't I do certain things that men are already doing? We harken back to a conversation we had in an earlier episode. We spoke about one of the reasons why women can't do the same things men can as far as dating and having sex with multiple partners and stuff like that is because of the birth control aspect, right? They have to worry about getting pregnant and stuff like that and stuck with the child and all of that.
And STDs as well.
Well, that applies for everybody.
Nasty people. Forget what I do.
But in with advent contraception and stuff like that, it allows these behaviors to be perpetuated even more, right? And I think it's having a negative impact on the nuclear family as a whole, Because once a child comes into this world, child needs both parents. Let's be honest. Child needs both parents. So that's a traditional value that you cannot get rid of. So you telling people that it's okay to sleep around and just live wild and be a single parent and stuff like that. These are perpetuating bad behaviors that are not only affecting relationships, it's also affecting the lives of a lot of children. Because when you grow up in a broken home as a child, you're more susceptible to being a broken person. Not necessarily have to be the case, because some people might have certain role models around them but them can fall back on, but not everybody is that lucky.
Majority rules.
And if let's use a person for example who is probably even more likely to become a sadist, a psychopath or stuff like that, they're more likely to end up falling into their natural side because they don't have certain people around them to kind of guide them. You know, they might have mental health issues and a variety of other stuff, and they don't get addressed because there's nobody there to help address it.
A lot of women take pills, you know, like I've seen a lot of studies that suggest that women who have indiscriminate sex, a lot of them suffer from depression because of it, and them take pills. I've seen many studies.
A lot of them.
And we're not saying that you shouldn't, explore your options and have sex, but we're just saying the promiscuous behavior is not good on both the men and women side, because we see enough unwanted children let me say a lot of unwanted pregnancies are happening because of it. And enough people aren't prepared mentally and financially to get a picnic. And a lot of the times, in fact, I think most times these pregnancies occur because of people having unprotected indiscriminate
especially
sex. So we're not saying females they can't have sex with who you are. We're just saying have some level of control and respect. The rate of STDs higher than ever, because that a lot of it comes from feminism and the sexual liberalization movement, and the music does perpetuate it to a certain extent.
Yeah, even as I say,
it
men too, because it perpetuates the gallus culture.
So we're just saying, don't sleep around. Like, for God's sake.
And even with
have some respect for your body.
Even with the songs, like, the regular gallus tune, them always I say about you can't have one girl, you have to have 150 as governor say, and stuff like that. A lot of it, some of the artists might think so it's just lyrics, but there are a lot of people actually living by them.
When every other song you hear on the radio is a gallus song, when all of your bridging them I start to take this music seriously, I start to use that as peer pressure towards you. What do you think that's going to happen? It's going to perpetuate it.
You know much man Mir say much man Mir say if you don't get an STD and one gallus, and they actually caught STDs before. Hopefully and thankfully they never get AIDS. Because the last time you check AIDS on STD, so if you get AIDS, they got things say, oh yeah, top man, yo you get AIDS bro. Big up yourself.
Congratulations.
Any man think that way, the boy, I'm sorry for you, brother.
But I did run a joke with you guys the other day about having sex with a woman. If you use a condom, it don't count. I said that as a joke, by the way, because people used to say that shit to me all the time.
Remember, you're not cartel.
But
if you were a cartel, no, that's a boy.
You actually have a whole heap of Jamaican men who always talk about, say, if you do road hard, you have to catch something at least once. I'm saying,
good for
you, sir.
And that is something you're supposed to be proud of.
Like what?
Like you would be surprised. There are a lot of Jamaican men, and not just Jamaican, just black men in general, where they take catching one of those more curable STDs as a badge of honor, and them simply can just do a test and get some antibiotics.
You know, I ask them, can you first thing first? Can you determine which STD? Because since it's so good to get an STD, because you actually want to go there, have unprotected sex and catch an STD. Can you determine which STD you get, brother? Hope.
It's like you have one of the scout at the Dragon Ball.
Which girl can give chlamydia? Which one can give syphilis?
Exactly. Because a lot of the STIs don't come with symptoms right away.
Exactly.
So people are living with a lot of them, and they're asymptomatic. You wouldn't know unless people do a test. That's why they recommend say people do tests regularly.
Exactly.
STD is like rain when you have.
Use a condom. Prevention is better than cure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of the music people might feel like say, it's just a vibe, but a lot of people taking it seriously, and that's why it's affecting a lot of relationships these days, because as I said, the whole Shensia song, I literally hear people singing it and actually living by it.
No, best believe I've seen that how we
even long before the song did even drop.
Yeah.
The whole hit and run business. And I say, like,
because people like Cardi B has artists like that.
And when I say,
before.
we're not
But
saying
no,
it causes,
it's more normalized.
Yeah, we're not saying it causes promiscuity and all of that.
Yeah.
Promiscuity
But
or
it
something.
normalizes
It
bad
normalizes,
behavior.
exactly.
You see, that's my problem, you know. My problem is this. It's not just the fact that you're telling me to do something bad, you know. You're saying it so many times. You and 10 million people say it so many times. Subconsciously it becomes normalized.
Exactly.
Normalized. Just
Then
like
when you catch AIDS now here, so we're going not known for black people and now because we not grew up in a household with father and foolish this thing.
victim mentality.
Always blame the absent father in the household.
Blame the system instead of yourself.
yeah. So kind of need for change, like not necessarily just change the type of music what we listen to, but change our mindset towards the music. Cause one thing when the beat or the song sound good, and then cause sometimes you listen to a couple of them cartel songs, there are them rap songs, there and feel like a gangster. You get what I say? But you're not a gangster.
Exactly.
You get,
And
It's like you're living vicariously.
You know, go buy a gun. Me no listen to Dirk and say, yo, me no see me go park up on Spanish one man and start shoot up the place, dog. Because me or Dirk say, yo, him pull up on him ups them and him slide for fun or whatever. Man, I do that, brother. But it get me sound good for get hyped up for training.
Exactly.
That's all.
And say you can speak for yourself, and that you're not going to shoot somebody.
You use negative music for a greater purpose in your life.
Yeah.
You know. A lot of people do, you know, like we use. Cause let's be honest, rap music isn't. I mean, it's positive for the most part, but it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we use it for training, to get ourselves, get a better physique, to get stronger, get healthier.
And that's that stems from the mindset.
Yeah, the
and
mindset.
culture.
Exactly.
Black music perpetuates too much of the negativity.
Yeah.
It affects the relationships that people have, because enough people, when you go up on social media, you go up on pages like the Tropics or Dance or Shade Room, you see them drop couple quotes from couple song, or even people when them just do them own thing, them would have quote what somebody say in our song. You get what I say? Like mostly what cartels say.
Yeah.
You get me?
Exactly.
How often, what the artist name again? She kind of light skin, have her hair long and kind of curly like Rebecca one, and she sing about cook for you, wash for you. How often do you hear songs like that being played on the radio? Or any at all, and you want to say, boy, them kind of thing for them, man. Cook for them, wash for them, clean for them. Women who do that, you know.
Roles,
You hardly hear them some of the You hardly hear them play. What's your name again, man? Sissy, yeah. I think she sing that song.
Oh yeah.
And you hardly hear songs.
Your Queen Africa, Etana type of artist. Yeah, them not get.
But when it comes on to the female artists that sing about catering to a man, you would usually hear the girl them lash out after it.
Exactly.
Them I say them do them sitting there for no
Lie
man,
them a tell.
how the man them not deserve him and wicked and this and that. But the moment Megan Thee Stallion talk about say you have to trick him and take him money and then cut.
Views them gone up.
Exactly.
Alright, Cardi B talk about if you rob niggas.
Rob them, drug them and rob them.
And then know when them lose them life because robbing a guy and stealing his money.
Apparently normalized. Yeah.
Apparently it's the man's fault, you know.
Yeah. Same get drug and rob.
Say you drug him, rob him, and then him find you and kill you. Make it make sense, dog. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Alright, so that's the episode for today, people. Tune in again next week for episode 2 of season 2. This time around we're trying to make some changes for improve the quality of the video, the audio, and probably a different location this time, because we understand that basically the visuals and the audio from the previous season basically weren't the best, so I try to make the changes in order to improve the experience for you guys. Anyways, I want to say and wish another happy Mother's Day, and I hope everybody did something special for their mother today. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.